Good evening, good evening, good evening, good people. You have just tuned into Let's Digest. And it is Friday. I hope you guys have had an amazing day. But before we get started, you already know the drill. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, share. If you don't share, at least make sure that your bell is highlighted so that every time there's new post from me or anything, you guys will get the notifications. So, of course, let's get into it. You guys have seen the title. I posted the title, the topic for tonight. You can kind of spin that any which way, literally just talking about getting into your feelings or staying out of your feelings per se, and what your feelings are literally costing you. I don't think that we have I don't know. I think that we have feelings, we have emotions, and it's just a normal to have. But we're gonna digest that. So of course you guys see that as promised, I brought on a guest tonight, again tonight. It is Friday, and of course, we want to have conversations. So what better way than to have my amazing friends, business partners, family come on and join us for the conversation. So, you guys, we have here Miss Pamela Butler. Okay, I be trying not to get personal, guys, but this is my amazing business partner. My sister, who's listen, I can't tell y'all how quick they'll dial a phone if I accidentally call. But we're so happy to have her here. I don't want to give it away. I'm just gonna say she's a mom, she's a business partner, she's an amazing person to know. Literally because everything that she says and does is just you feel that it's genuine from the heart. And there's that word again, feeling. So we're gonna let her go ahead and tell us a little bit about herself, just to introduce herself to you guys. So Miss Pam, the floor is yours.
Good evening. First and foremost, thank you for having me on. I want to give it back to you just for
Pleasure.
being an amazing hostess and everything that you're doing. So, I am Pamela Butler. I am a mother of two, Mississippi. My profession is I'm a system analyst slash product owner, and I'm also a serial entrepreneur, just to keep it short. So, I do investing, trading, the list goes on and on, but I won't bore you out with that. But multiple things, because I do believe multiple streams of income are important.
Definitely, yes. Listen, I gotta agree with you on that. And they listen, we've tiptoed a little bit about it. So normally I ask this question at the end, but just before, real quick, that just means that you're gonna come back and give us some investing tips, right? We can count on you to come back.
Sure.
Thank you. Well, I normally wait to the end, like let me just butter them up a little bit and then ask them. But since you went ahead and put out there that you are still your entrepreneur, we just went ahead and asked you. So we're just gonna kind of get into the topic for tonight. Of course, we've talked about this a little bit when it comes to being in your feelings, staying out your feelings, or technically what it is to have your feelings tied to something. And I just want to ask you, what is your perspective on that, on staying out of your feelings and all those things, or the topic?
So feelings can be a good and a bad thing, depending on the circumstances. So for me, one thing over the years that has become very important is emotional intelligence and being aware of my feelings in certain situations,
Mhm.
because things can happen that will take you out of your character if you operate based off your emotions. So it's a two-sided coin. It can be good or it can be bad based on the circumstances, but what dictates the good or bad is you knowing yourself. So
Mm,
you really have to be aware of triggers in your life that set you off, which make you upset, which make you sad. You have to be able to be like, okay, this annoys me, and then you
mhm.
have to find a way to kind of maneuver that. Like, if I know this annoys me, I'm either going to avoid it, I'm going to have to find a way to deal with it, because it's a tricky thing when we're dealing with our feelings.
You said a whole lot. well, of course, the major thing was emotional intelligence. And I don't know if a lot of us, even because prior to even me coming into the environment, being around leaders and mentors and in the business with you all, um, I didn't I've never really said those words together. I've always thought I've been intelligent. My emotions I always felt like I could control. Um, but didn't know there was a bigger there's a whole level of emotional intelligence and knowing, and like you say, you have to be aware of self. Um, because like you said, it's also a good and a bad. There's the good side of feelings, there's the bad side. We want to express ourselves in a very healthy way, especially when it comes to something that we like or annoys us. Me myself personally, I didn't get that. If it annoyed me, well, I always controlled myself. However, if it annoyed me, you knew about it. As to now, where I know a little bit more about it, no one has to know. It's just all about, like you said, me maneuvering myself according to what I have felt pertaining to something or someone else. So I definitely get that. I like the way you answered that. So, with that being said, I know you kind of maybe smidget it a little bit. Has there been a particular time in your life where you might have went through the entire situation, um being more so wrapped up in your feelings or your emotions or tied up in it versus just experiencing the situation, if that makes sense? I think you're I can't is your mic? I don't know, I can't. It might have been my end again. We can see you. You're still moving. But I can't hear you. Is your maybe? Yep. Just touch your mic and no. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, guys. We're gonna give Miss Pam a moment. I think her mic might have went off on her, but we can still see her good. Okay, let's see. So, guys, Miss Pam is gonna leave us and come right back. Wait a minute. Did I needed to check because you guys did not check and tell me I needed a sweat check. No fans tonight. But guys, just give me a brief moment. Give us a brief moment. Miss Pam is gonna hop back on technology, right? Gotta love it. Of course. Always. But we're still here. The show is still going on. And here she is. Let me get her back on. All right, we got you now. I can see you good. So you may have to tap. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, you're good. You're
Can you
good
hear
to
me
go.
now?
I can hear you.
I don't
Yes.
know. Oh,
It's listen, if I
all
it
right. I'm
has to
sorry.
no, we know how technology go. We definitely know how technology go. Um, do you want me to repeat that question for you again? Are you were good with it?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Or yes, and especially for my viewers. Hmm. I think you were saying something. You're good. So I'm going to repeat the question for Miss Pam. Those of you who will be viewing us later, remember if you're watching the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. So the question that I was asking Miss Pam, let's make sure that she is still good, guys. Give me 1 second. We're gonna have to steal Miss Pam from Mississippi for a little bit. I think Mississippi, like, she's talking to somebody from South Carolina. We're not gonna let her be great. I see you're back on. Are you still good? So Miss Pam and I was talking about being in your feelings. And just the flip side of feelings. We tell our children all the time to express themselves. So we're actually digesting how it is to have feelings, what feelings are. We were literally speaking on emotional intelligence for the first question. And so the second question that I was asking Miss Pam, can you hear me good, Miss Pam? You good? I think she's frozen. So yeah, so we were talking about emotional intelligence and just making sure that feelings, knowing that they can be good, but also knowing that you can be so wrapped up in your feelings that you get lost into someone else's being. Having a good understanding about who you are and what you are. That way, as Ms. Pam said, we will have emotional intelligence, knowing how to have feelings but not be our feelings. And I think there's a difference when we're so wrapped up in our feelings and we're just tied too emotionally to things. We, in a sense, lose ourselves because everything that we do, every move that we make, the things that we say, how we feel about a particular person or a thing comes from what we're feeling. But when you have emotional intelligence, you're completely aware of yourself and you can have a reaction to things without being wrapped up in your feelings. And Miss Pam is back, guys. We're gonna get her on. There you go. You good? We're here. I was
Uh,
just gonna-
my Wi-Fi will not let me be great tonight.
look. I had already said I think it's Mississippi. Every time Mississippi, like, she on the phone with somebody from South Carolina. We're not going.
Promise. Every time we do a live, it
It's
will
the
not.
Carolinas.
But I switched it to my phone
Okay,
data, so prayerfully we
we're
we
good.
can make now.
Gotcha. No problem. No sweat. I was just filling them in anyway as to what we were talking about prior to. So that brings us to our next question since I did fill them in. Has there ever been a time that that now you know that maybe you were too tied up into it based upon your feelings? Um, if so, explain. If not, tell us why you weren't or what helped you to not be.
I don't think we have enough time to discuss the number of times
Listen, I'm right
that I
there
have
with you.
caught up in my feelings. Multiple. But
Hmm.
over the last couple of years, when I started my entrepreneur journey, and like you said, the leaders that we have pouring into us personal development, like honestly, can I get real with you? It's a lot that I had to
Please.
repent for based on acting out certain situations based on how I felt. And I even had to go back and apologize to some people in my life based on how I treated them based off of what I did or said from my emotions. And it's so key that people can only take us out of character if we allow them to. And multiple times in my life, I allow people to take me out of character, but that stems from we have to know who we are, we have to value who we are. And some situations, some circumstances that we find ourselves faced with are beneath us, and we have to move accordingly. When people do things to draw you down, you don't have to sink down to their level. And I believe just really tuning into and being aware of who I am
Mhm.
and growing as a person and developing a love for me deeper than I ever had before helps me to manage my emotions differently, because some people are not worth your time.
Ooh.
And we give people too much of our time that they do not deserve. But once you become aware of that and understand who you are on a deeper level, you manage your I for me personally, I manage my emotions differently. Like
Mhm.
my kids tell me all the time, you never raise your voice. I don't have to. I'm at a point where it's not going I'm not going to be affected by certain things. Do I
I
have
love
some
it.
work? Most definitely. But yeah, it's a process.
Listen, definitely. Well, this is definitely a place to keep it real and transparent. And I know I've done the same thing. I have, I have acted like you said, act out. We love to put things on the children now that we're adults, not realizing we've done the same things or still doing the same things as adults. It is it. It used to be. I kept to myself, always kept a wall up, but the quickest way to get me to react is for me to feel like I have to defend myself or others around me. Thought I was in control, but now, like you say, now being in a different environment, learning different things, personal growth and development, learning myself, being aware of myself, I now know that I wasn't in control at all. Because even though, I could take care of myself, I felt like I could handle the situation. My feelings got in front of me before I could ever act. And then I act based upon what I was feeling. I'm defensive, I'm in defense mode. There you go. I'm either angry, I definitely could get loud. I was that person. Although it took a little pushing, I could still be pushed. The biggest factor was that I could still be pushed. And like you say, now that I know, it's not. It won't even pierce me because first of all, I'm not even in that because I'm so in tune with self now and learning more about myself and really trying to see how I feel about me, how what my emotions are for myself, having a complete understanding. Um I can only I'm only even now I'm only giving off what I'm feeling for myself. Um because again, like you said, if I allow anybody else's actions to move me, that is not me moving. That is me moving according to them. We Now I can move according to my inner being, what I want to feel like, how I want to move. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to yell. It takes too much time and too much energy. So definitely, I like that you are not by yourself with the whole repent, with the whole
Mhm.
repenting. We live and we learn, right?
And you just said something really important. You said what you give off. What we give off or what we project out is
Mhm.
what we get back. So that negative energy and the negative responses, it's a cycle. And
Yes.
once you graduate from that, those people that are constantly negative, they're gonna fall off or be like, oh, she this or she that. They're gonna remove themselves. And the right people, the positive energy is gonna flow in, because the perspective, the mindset, it all shifts. It's gonna
Mhm.
attract like-minded people. So you
Yes.
don't necessarily cut people off. Some of them, they just back away because, oh, she's this or she's that is what they perceive it to be. But it's like, no, you're not disturbing my peace. You
Hello.
don't have their privilege anymore. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that. And yeah, that's the crazy part. And have I been one of those people? Quietly. Not to one to say, but I have been one of those people. And then I had to realize it's nothing personal. Um, if that's how I perceive that, then it might be a way that I'm thinking and feeling in my head. I can't force that on somebody else if it's not what was said. Um, or if they can't even express that to me. Granted, they could be a person who's not nice. They could be a mean person. They could be a person that's not so, friendly. But hey, until I perceive that, I don't want that. So if that's who you are, that's who you are. Hopefully, I'm not even in your company long. Um, but I don't want to take that and then that's who I see you as, because that's going to be what I see. And it's going to go beyond you. I don't want ugliness in my head, period. I don't even want to see it. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. Like I said, digesting and stuff, I'll be starting to realize some things myself I didn't pick up. I love it. So that kind of brings me a little bit to my next question. I know that we talk about, we mentioned friendship, whether it's just a friendship, whether it's a relationship, situationship. Um, I want to, and I think I said that question correctly. Is there, or what is your feeling? What is your perspective on even tying up your feelings spiritually or to a spiritual place, or just, and I'll even digest as to why I asked that question.
You cut out a little bit. You said how
Can
it,
I cut out? I think it's my service. Probably
it broke
my
up
phone got
just a
that.
little bit.
How about now? Are we good? Can you hear me?
Say it again.
Can you hear me now?
It's got a little echo, but start talking.
Yeah, because I can hear the echo too. How about now? No, no
Okay.
echo. We're good. Okay. So yeah, you can hear me good.
I can hear you.
Okay. I think all I said was I had to echo up. I thought it was about to have a big storm outside, but I'm looking at the trees just shaking through the grass. Um, so I think I still hear the echo, but hopefully we're good, and hopefully our viewers can hear us
Yeah,
good.
there is
Um,
echo, but I can hear you.
you said yeah. Okay. So yeah. So my third question was just basically, I know we've kind of snipped it on, people. Um, Although I feel like we can have feelings tied to places, and things. So, what is your perspective on tying or having feelings versus complete emotional intelligence when it comes to spiritual or spiritual place? Um, I think this topic has been like brought up a couple of times as far as, yeah, a building or a particular place. What is your perspective on that?
So from a spiritual place, everybody's different. For me personally, I believe in God. So you have to know who you are in God to be able to deal with people as well. So for me, from a spiritual standpoint, I've always been, I would say I've always been religious, but I'm more spiritual now. Meaning
I don't
I
know.
understand. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's
Getting
like
bad
I guess it
feedback.
has you like a robot, and I don't know if it's
Can
just
you
my
hear me?
end. I can hear you, but it has you real like staticky.
You're going in and out.
So it could just be my
Or
end
is
and
it
not
me?
your. Say something again.
Is it me?
I, I think
Can you
so.
hear me?
So I can hear you, but it makes you sound just like a robot.
It's doing both of us the same.
Both sides say. So maybe it's my end. I don't know. YouTube. Hmm. What are we doing tonight on this beautiful Friday? So we're gonna let Miss Pam. Miss Pam, I'm gonna let you go ahead and continue. I'm gonna just mute my mic just in case there's some feedback from my end.
Okay. Okay. So let me run it back and try to make sure I'm answering your question. So how does my so what I'm gathering is how does my spirituality play to my meal with people? Is that what you're asking? Is that does that sound about right?
I couldn't even hear what you said. I'm sorry.
You can you hear me now?
In and out. Like,
It's bad.
damn. Yep.
Do I need to leave? You think I need to leave and come back?
You can try, but it might be me.
Let me try.
Okay. Listen, guys, we're not going nowhere until you guys get the sauce. We're almost at the end of the live, and technology is not wanting us to be great tonight. But of course, if there's nothing else that you guys learn from me, you will learn how to show up, how to stay there, and get it done. Because that's what we do, right? Right. So Miss Pam is going to be back. We're getting this last question out. I think it's a very important question. More so, maybe something that I even want to digest because it's been something that I've been experiencing. And I also think it's something that a lot of people experience that we don't talk enough about. I think we make spiritual things too complicated, or maybe such a not thing to talk about. So Miss Pam is back and she's going to answer that so that we can get to the bottom of this.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
You can or you can't?
I can. Less that again, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, you good.
Okay. So let's try this again. So tying spirituality to our emotions was what I gather from your question.
Hmm. I don't know. I think when you lean, like you were good just now for a second. Maybe when you lean.
Is this better?
Yep. Hmm.
Forward, right here.
Right there. You good.
Okay.
But yes, that's
I'm a freeze right here. So
okay.
I believe with spirituality is still kind of some of the things I said earlier.
Hmm.
Um you have your choice with spirituality. For me, I believe in God, and you choose to love people, you choose to forgive people. But and I know people say it's not tied to your emotion, but for me, I disagree.
Hmm.
I mean, because I can tell you I forgive you, but I don't, if I'm not sincere in my heart, it doesn't mean anything. So when dealing from a spiritual standpoint, you still have to be rational when dealing with people, but you also have to come from a place of love. And you have to be sincere, regardless of how you feel. You have to be sincere, you have to be compassionate, because if you're not, it's not real. Like I can tell you I forgive you, but if I don't really sincerely feel that I forgive you, it's it's vain in my opinion. When people say, and I know they articulate certain things about I choose to love you, I can tell you I love you. If it's twofold, I don't think you can separate the two. I can tell you I love you all day, but if I don't sincerely have some type of compassion for you, in my opinion. So I believe our feelings play a big part in our spiritual relationship and how we deal with people. But even
Hmm.
allow people to take you out of your character, you still have to deal with people with compassion. You
Yes.
know, even when they upset you, you still have to find a way to deal with things on a mature level. And sometimes you have to love them, but you still gotta love them. So that's my. I
Right.
hope I answered your question.
You did. You did. That makes so much sense. Of course. And I know I was even, I think there's a flip side to both of those. I completely agree with what you just said. Um, well, technically it's the same thing you said. Well, even when, and I'll put this in a perspective of, we have our church people, our church folks. And I think that's the difference in having your spirituality in control and knowing and being aware. Um, and I'll just give a brief example. I grew up in the church, right? I grew up in church, but there were, and of course, as far as I know, I'm a little girl. Everybody here loves God, believes in God, and that's just what they stand for. But you had some people who would, even in the middle of God's house, the place where we're supposed to come for a mutual respect, just a mutual love, they will say things based upon how they feel, but it has nothing to do with the way that we should be feeling, the neutral feeling, because we know each other based upon one thing in common, God, right? We met up at this building every Sunday, or sometimes it seems like every day of the week when I was little. But how could we both be coming for something that is all about love, that is all about forgiveness, that is all about just seeing a person, as love, or just beauty, because God loves his children. I don't know about you, but I know he doesn't play about me. Listen, and even though I've been who I've been throughout these years, I've always gotten love from that source. But it baffled me as a little girl how this is how I know you, but the only thing that comes from you is your feelings. I now know that it was your feelings. At the time, it felt as though, okay, I love God, she loves God, but I don't know, maybe our God told her to mean to me or to say something. Listen, it took a little girl saying something so horrible to me in the bathroom to where I didn't want to go to church anymore. And I think for a while that's why I stopped going to church, because I allowed her feelings to then make me feel a type of way. And in return, we both forgot about the real reason that we were there. I was not coming there to see her. She should have not been coming there to see me to have anything to say to me. Um, but because we were both so wrapped up in our feelings, because we didn't know any better, we wasn't aware of ourselves. We didn't have an understanding, and that's probably a different topic for a different day. Um, we both left in our feelings, and and I think and I talked about that because I think even so today we allow the same things. I hear people say, well, again, I don't want to go to church or this, that, and the third. I think my first one, I don't know if you agree, my first thing is, if you didn't know your God prior to walking into a building, that might be the issue. Um, but the next thing is knowing that you're going into a building for a common denominator, which is supposed to be literally to praise, worship, love on God, give him his praises, and to learn more about him, technically about ourselves, if we're paying attention, right? Um, but how people get in the midst of their feelings, they say things, but then I hear too many people saying, I'm not going back, or I don't want to do that. Well, you wasn't going there for Sister Margaret or Brother Johnson. You were going there for you and your relationship with him. Um, so that's why I really asked you that question. Wanted to know how that goes, because we like to point fingers sometimes and blame other people for what they said or how they feel, not knowing that we begin at that very moment carrying around those feelings with us. and in return they make us feel a type of way, and then we forget what's important, literally. Um, so I like the way you answer that
Yeah.
question.
What I would say to that, yeah. So what I would
It
say in
got you
response
again.
to that is, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Maybe. Yeah, I get it.
What about now?
Uh-huh. I can hear you, just still a little staticky.
Okay. So what I would say to that is everybody is on a different level spiritual. So people have church hurt
I think
because people project
I don't
their
want them,
growth onto them. You can hear me?
and I don't want them to miss this because I know it's about to be good. You could say something else?
What about now? It's
Say something.
what about now?
Yeah, it was perfect.
How about now?
Okay, I hear a little echo, but I can hear you clearer.
You can hear me?
It started again.
It don't want.
Okay.
What about now?
I'm gonna be so mad at myself if this is me the entire time. Okay, I'm gonna say something again. I'm glad this is the
Hold on.
place where
So, can
we
you?
relax. So I can hear you, but it keeps
I'm gonna leave
chopping
and come back
you
one more
up.
time.
Okay,
I'm gonna leave and come back one time.
okay. Guys, we are getting ready to wrap up. Literally, I want this. You guys got to hear this. We're about to close out, but Miss Pam is going to give her last moments of her thoughts, and then I'm going to get my thoughts out or close us out for tonight. I know that we have been on kind of, I don't even want to say long because that's the purpose here, right? For us to digest some things and talk about some things and just be in a laid back environment. Um, Amongst each other, to just talk out this thing called life. Because what other way to get through it than with someone who understands? And why not? So, guys, Miss Pam will be back in a split second. We wanted to make sure that this feed is good and that you guys can hear us clearly. Um, I'm definitely going to look into upgrading my technology a little bit more since I will be coming to you guys twice a week. Um, with the sauce, with the juice, with the life experiences. Okay, guys, give it a second. And my viewers, again, who will be coming on watching the replay, please drop in the comment section. Good evening, hello. Let us know that you are watching the replay, and we appreciate you.
Okay, I changed location.
Then it could be me.
You can't hear me any better.
Y'all can hear you a little better.
Okay, I'm gonna try this. Try to get it out. What I was saying is people on different levels and they project the level that other people sometimes knowingly, and that's where church hurt comes from because we have to understand church is because God tells us not to gather men to fellowship with like-minded. but God lives on the inside of us. So we shouldn't not go to church with somebody else because they have their own growth process. And a lot of times they just need, but if we're not at that level to that's what causes divisions. That's why it's so important to be aware of who we are, whose we are, and make a conscious effort to work on that day. Because us not nobody fall. I hope you heard that.
I'm going to make sure I heard exactly what you said. I believe I caught what you said. I know you were saying basically how people sometimes project their feelings spiritually or how they're feeling on others. Um, and that's why it's so important for us to know who we are and whose we are. Because if we're secure in that, we will know or we'll be able to tell what's not for us, even if somebody says it or they feel that type of way. Because literally what we will be projecting or what we want to project only is our love that we get from God. And how we feel. Well, how we're supposed to feel spiritually. Because it is a neutral thing. It is a love thing. It is a beautiful thing. Um, can there be some, I don't even want to say this because God is not confusing at all. There's no confusion when it comes to him. So I believe that did I get the majority of what you said correctly? I was about to start. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'd have to say I agree with that. Because I think I do feel that way. I think once you get to a level of awareness, self-awareness, you get a deeper understanding of why and who, and that way you will know whose you are. And when you know whose you are, you won't give out nothing except what he gives you or what he makes you feel. Um, for me, and that's how I feel about things like that. Or how I feel when it comes spiritually, um, personally, however the case may be. It's basically, for a while, I thought, when I was changing, as I was changing and growing, I almost thought, am I a little, how we would say it back then, am I a little wimp? I don't respond to nothing. I let everything just go. But no, I am acting according to who I am. And when I knew whose I was, I didn't have to use fire for fire. Strictly use water because that's what it does. Water does. It replenishes us. It gives us what we need. That's what he is. It allows things to grow. Um, and we know putting water on fire is just going to put the fuel out, right? It's going to put the flames all the way out. Yeah. And so that's what I've been breaking down and digesting and learning myself, with the help of this environment, my business environment, my business partners, being with you all, has been just amazing, because some of the things I thought that I was learning on my own, or I felt for some different way, I didn't know why, or I didn't know what. And sometimes it takes seeing different perspectives and seeing other people in their walk sometimes for me to, oh, okay, that makes sense now. I see, especially when you're on the same levels, where you're in the same space. And that's the difference between being with someone who's aware and those who aren't completely aware yet. We know how to get wrapped up into things. We know what to wrap ourselves up in. And it makes life a lot more easier. I know for me it does, because the stress of worrying about what somebody else feels about me, or worrying about why I feel or why do I want to feel that way back about them, it won't even be an issue. It won't even be something to discuss because if it's anything outside of what God feels for me, I shouldn't feel it from anybody else. Yeah, we know that there's negativity out there. Yeah, we know that there's things outside of love out there. But if you have created a world of awareness and a world of love and peace, you shouldn't see it. Um, and it definitely shouldn't be welcome into your house. It's kind of,
Most
I
definitely.
think, yeah, so many things when it comes to feelings. But guys, I want you guys to look up the word feeling, define feeling, and then see how you guys have been maneuvering with your feelings in life. Are you at the place of self-awareness? Um, if you're not, maybe you're wrapped up in your feelings a little too much. Maybe you should reevaluate that. Maybe you should get in tune with who you are and whose you are for the long haul because all the pettiness, and let's just call it pettiness, it won't even, no, it won't be a part of your life. And you won't be missing out on anything. There's other ways to live life, have fun, be unbothered than to really be bothered. I think, a lot of times we say we're unbothered. I don't care. The ones that are saying it the most are the ones who care the most. And, that's my take on things. But I don't know. I enjoyed this conversation tonight, Ms. Pam. I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to leave our viewers with tonight. Um,
No, I just thank you for into a platform, and I apologize. My internet won't be great. I don't know what's going
it's okay.
on.
Listen, it was definitely, you're definitely welcome. We definitely look forward to having you back again. It is okay. It's technology. We're laid back here. Hopefully, everyone is relaxed, picking up their feet, digesting with us. Um, we're just happy that you could come on with us and share your perspective on this topic. Greatly appreciate you. Look forward to you coming back later at another time. Um, and so, guys, there you
Thank
have it. Staying out of your feelings. You're welcome. Staying out of your feelings. Get out of your feelings. And that's just the way that you guys understand it, right? Get out of them feelings. Get into who feels for you. Meaning, who are you? Whose are you? Hmm. Have a level of awareness for yourself because then you won't be so moved by other people's feelings because they haven't gotten aware just yet. Um, and in the meantime, love them, respect them, pray for them. Because the person who will love them most, who will take care of their feelings, is no other than our amazing God. So, guys, it has been our pleasure. You guys continue to be blessed and be great. Until next time, night.